Hello again and welcome to another episode of Real Talk with RJ. If this is your first time listening, please don't forget to like and subscribe and follow so you know exactly when we release brand new episodes. Also, don't forget to share if you like what you hear. Share it with everyone you know. This episode may be a little taboo for a lot of people because of the perspectives on pornography, and we're going to be talking about some adult stuff. So, if you have a problem with talking about adult things like in a respectful and professional way, then this might not be the episode for you. But we're going to be talking about these things in a realistic, honest way. That's why this show is called Real Talk with RJ. We talk about real items, real subjects, realistic views. People said, including doctors, that masturbation is actually a very common, very normal thing. It's a normal urge. Everybody has the urge to, for sexual urges. This is a normal thing, yeah. It's also normal to want to kill somebody for cutting you off while you're driving and they just blatantly cut you off without using their turn signal. But do we do that? Most of us don't. We might have the urge. We might want to hit somebody for cutting us off on the freeway and almost wrecking and hurting our entire family. We might want to run them off the road, or somebody who rushes real hard to get in front of us, and then when they finally get in front of us, they slow down. You wish you could just, put them into the wall. There's lots of times we want to do things. We have the urge to do things that we shouldn't do, and then we don't do them. So we also hear the term that sex is a need. It's not. If you're stuck on an island, the things that you need are fire to keep your body warm, because you can die for hypothermia. You need water, and you also need food, and also shelter. Or food and water are considered in the same thing. You need fire, water, shelter, food. That's what you need. You need shelter to protect you from the elements and other species, other insects, etc. You need warmth to keep your body warm. You need water and food to keep your body nurtured. You can go years without a sexual satisfaction. You can go your entire life without sexual satisfaction. It's not a need, it's a want. And at times it might feel like a need because you get really, really turned on. But what we're going to be talking about is pornography. It's one of the deadliest drugs out there. And it might not actually take lives per se, like, fentanyl and heroin and meth, etc. It might not kill people from overdosing like that, but it kills you in a different way. People used to smoke for as long back as they can, as tobacco's been around. People used to smoke. It wasn't up until the 80s that the Surgeon General actually started putting it on cigarette packs that, hey, smoking causes cancer and it leads to lung cancer and it can kill you. But it was like millennia before people actually understood that smoking cigarettes was actually dangerous. I'm not putting down anybody for smoking. That's their choice to do that what they want. But I'm saying it was at least now they know the risks and the consequences. But for the most part, people really don't understand the risks and consequences of pornography. Pornography is such a dangerous drug because it doesn't appear like a drug. It doesn't appear to be a drug, and you also don't appear to be hurting anyone else as you do it, which is one of the most dangerous characteristics of a very lethal drug, is when it doesn't seem like you're hurting anybody else but yourself, it seems more justifiable. But the reality of the situation is that when you look at pornography, you are hurting so much more than yourself. If you're a male looking at pornography, especially if you're looking, we can even generalize it. If you're a male looking at pornography, you are hurting those of your sexual interest. What I mean is, if you're a gay male, you're hurting other males that you're attracted to. You're hurting, if you're heterosexual, you're hurting other women that you're attracted to. They don't know it yet, but you're starting to train yourself that the partners that you're attracted to are not people. They're objects for your own sexual gratification. You see, when you have urges and you don't control those urges, and you just satisfy and feed into them and nurture them, you're only making those urges stronger. And lust is one of those things that it can't be satisfied. You can't satisfy your urges in lust. Like, the more you satisfy the urge to masturbate, the more you're going to want to masturbate. The more you look at pornography, the more it starts to no longer satisfy you, which necessitates your your search to find more things that are more wild, sexual fantasies that will arouse you more, because it is like a drug in so many ways. If you start smoking cocaine or you start snorting cocaine or doing a drug, at some point, especially if you are a regular user of it, at some point you have to increase your dosage. You can no longer, your body will become immune to it, and it will no longer satisfy you or give you the numbing or peace or pain control that you absolutely need. It will start to be useless and ineffective. So you're going to need to increase your dosage. So when you're looking at normal pornography, it starts out to satisfy you, but later on, it no longer does anything for you. You're going to start looking at things that are more and more wild, things that are more and more far-fetched. And women are not immune from this. Women look at pornography as well. Women have their own pornography that they like. So no one's immune from the desire to look at pornography. But the thing is that if you're too busy, if you're watching porn, you are nurturing yourself to see your partners as just objects for your own sexual gratification, rather than humans who are partners. And the more you increase those urges rather than control them, and you maintain proper control over those urges, if you keep giving in to them, they're not going to get satisfied. They're going to continue to increase. They're going to get stronger, and you're going to start looking at things you really should not be looking at, because that's where your urges are going to take you. And I know from experience, like, this is not me like being a pastor preaching to people. Like, this is me legitimately speaking from experience. This stuff actually happens. This is, the things that I've learned throughout my life from my mistakes, from my poor choices, from me not bridling my own urges. It was nearly impossible for me to be faithful when I was looking at pornography on a daily basis. No matter how hard I tried to be faithful to the woman I was with, it wouldn't work, because I couldn't even control my urges for my own self. I needed to satisfy those urges. Once I got them, I needed to satisfy them. It got that far out of hand because of how often I chose to watch pornography back then. It will continue to get out of hand. It continued to grow, and it continued to increase. And then when I was with one woman, she wouldn't satisfy me the way I wanted to be satisfied. Like, I would get an orgasm, but I wouldn't be satisfied. I got to the point, especially when I was in the Marine Corps, I was a big whore. When I got to the Marine Corps, I would sleep with one woman and then go clean myself off. And then like an hour or two later, I was with another woman. Like, it was normal for me to have multiple partners in the same day. And I'm not bragging about that. That's humiliating, that I would be disrespectful to the daughters of so many good parents, to the sisters of so many good brothers. These women became my object of my own sexual gratification. That's who they became because of the amount of pornography I used to watch back then. It desensitized me. And that's what pornography does. It desensitizes you to people who would normally attract you. And if you are a male, if you're a male looking at pornography, you will no longer see people for their personality. You're same thing with women. You're no longer going to see your sexual preferences, or like the people you're attracted to, as people. You're not going to pay attention to how smart they are, how witty they are, how friendly they are, how good of a companion they are. You're going to think, oh man, I want to do this with her boobs, or oh man, I want to do this with his what. You know what I mean? You're going to sit there and think about the sexual things you want to do, and that is going to be the overshadowing focus that you have toward that person or people. And then after a while, one person's not going to do it for you. You're going to need multiple partners, whether it be at the same session or whether it be the same day, because one person's just not going to do it. You're not going to be able to be faithful. Like, this stuff can really expand, no joke. If you're not careful with your viewing of pornography, as a husband, it will desensitize you to being a gentle, loving, compassionate, supportive husband. And as a wife, it will make you no longer see your man as someone who can satisfy and take care of you and be an equal partner. You may people watch pornography for different reasons, but think about it, guys. Like, if you caught your wife watching a porn video of, a guy who happened to have a bigger down there than you did, you're going to immediately start feeling, self-conscious and like, what, am I not good enough? Like, am I too small for you? Like, what the heck? You're going to feel very sad about you're going to feel very self-conscious about your body. It's the same way for women. If a woman comes in and they see, and they might have like a B cup for their breast, and they see you watching all these videos with women who have double D and F and all these other extreme sizes, they're gonna start feeling like they're not women enough for you, and it hurts. I'm telling you, pornography rips families apart. There are tons of wives out there who have filed for divorce because their husbands were so addicted to pornography. You notice that pornography is not something anyone does out in the open. Like the pornography theaters are like super dark, and people go in there, you know, with masks on and like to cover their face because nobody wants to be seen going in or coming out of those places. Strip clubs, people go in and come out because, you know, it's just kind of a normal thing for guys to go out and do that, and the entrances tend to be dark and they don't illuminate your face very well, so there's kind of some anonymity there. But when you're looking at pornography, people aren't out there going, hey, you know, we're gonna have a porn watching party. Like, normal people don't do that. That's something people do when they're by themselves, when no one else is around. They turn the volume down to where no one else can hear, and then they get down and they do it. And then when they're done, they wipe up, clean up, and then they go on with their day. But the fact is that it's something that no one is proud of doing. Some people brag about it to, you know, to mask the shame that they have, but I can tell you, even when I was out there watching porn every day, I never bragged about it. I was never like, oh yeah, dude, I love watching porn. Like I was ashamed of that, because people don't just watch porn and watch it like it's a, you know, Steven Spielberg film. They watch it and do something else to pleasure themselves. It just goes hand in hand. You don't just watch porn and go, oh, I love the lighting, man. That was the cinematography, the script writing. Oh, wow. Oh my gosh, those are some great actors. No one does that. Not even the directors. No one's doing that. Like, people watch porn to satisfy themselves. That's the whole purpose. Now, there is a safety net though. Like, if you and your partner want to make a video, now this is something I don't encourage you to do with just anybody. If you're going to make a video, you and your partner, all right, cool, but have very strict rules about it. Like, this is something that never goes on the internet, that is not recorded by a phone. Actually get a camcorder. You know, get some type of individual camera that you guys can keep your videos on, and you guys can make those videos. You don't upload them to your phone. They never go to the internet. They never go to social media. They never go to anyone's personal profiles. They just stay in something, and it's with somebody you trust. That way you never break up with this person. You never have to worry about, oh my gosh, all of HR and my entire company got this video because my boyfriend or my girlfriend sent it to them to get me fired because we broke up badly. You know, just don't do that with just anybody. But the thing is if you do these videos, if you make your own videos with your partner, it's different, because the fantasies that you are enacting are fantasies that you and that partner have done together. There's a special meaning behind it, and it doesn't desensitize you, especially if you only watch it together. Those are the rules. You make this video together, and you only watch it together. You don't watch it by yourself. You only watch it together. And it can spice up your sex life, you know, by doing this. And actually, because just about every woman out there, I would say that, well, at least in my experience, just about every woman out there, when they feel respected by a man and the sex is good, just about every woman out there does not always want to make sweet, passionate, slow love. Sometimes they want to get it rough, they want to get it fast, and, you know, they want to get it hard. That's, you know, what they're expecting. That's what they would like from time to time. And sometimes they don't want to ask that because they don't want you to lose respect for them. But, you know, even the most gentlemanly of us, you know, we want to, you know, hit the speed a little bit more. We don't want to just be passionate and slowly make love sometimes. Sometimes we want to get it raw, hard, and uncut. You know, that's what we want to do sometimes. That's just it. But like, if it's with your partner, you're sharing those moments, and it's special, it's unique, it's just with you and your partner. It's not an unrealistic fantasy that you're going to become expectant of. This is just role play. This is just you guys having fun. But if you watch porn with nothing but big boob women, and your current woman or your current partner doesn't have the body type that you're attracted to in porn, you're only alienating yourself from your partner. You're going to numb yourself in the sensitivity you need to be a father to your daughter, and give her the proper respect and exemplary teaching she needs to protect her against dogs that want to be with her in the future. I'm telling you guys, like if we keep buying into this pornography drug, thinking that it's not going to hurt us and that it's just porn, there's nothing big about it, we're going to end up having daughters that are going to get married and dating really doggy people, you know, and that's not what we want. No man wants his daughter to date some scumbag of a man or a woman, whatever the case may be. And our men are, you know, our boys, when we teach them, if they continue to not have the example of a father who can control himself and who's always watching porn, because you're not going to be able to hide it from them. At some point, they're going to see it. At some point, you're going to be in a hurry. You're going to leave something open. You're going to forget you did something. And it's going to be right there on the desktop, or it's going to be right there on your phone, and they're going to see it. It's just going to come up somehow, some way. All things done in the dark will come to light. You will be caught, and your kid's going to know that you used to look at porn. And then that very likely can, you know, ignite a flame within him to want to look at porn as well, to be curious about it. Because a lot of porn videos, or a lot of watching porn, starts off with curiosity. I wonder what's the big idea about it. And then they go watch, and they go, oh, wow, that was cool. And then what happens next? Those sites don't want you to leave, so of course they're going to put something else up there, and you're like, oh, wow, because they have an algorithm. And the algorithm is trained to know what it is you're attracted to because of what you just look for. So they pick up more videos like that. And the more you visit that site, the more the algorithm has on you and what attracts you. And then they're going to keep on bringing these things to your knowledge, to your visual, and they're going to start putting them in your mailbox. You're going to start saying, come on over here. Come on over here. You know, I got that good. I got a brand new video. You're going to love it because it's right up your alley, the stuff you're attracted to. And then you're going to be 60, 70 years old by the time you realize, crap, I wasted my entire life masturbating rather than working on myself and becoming a better man. I'm telling you, like, a lot of people say masturbation is normal, but like I said before in the beginning of this, it's also normal to want to kill somebody for cutting you off on a freeway and almost wrecking your car. But there's a difference between the desire and actually doing it. I'm not talking about the scriptural companion that if it's in your heart, you've already done it. Sometimes we can't control our thoughts. Thoughts come into our head, and if we entertain them, then there are thoughts. But if we cast them out of our head, then they're not. They're just something that went in there. An urge doesn't necessarily mean a need. There's a difference. I'm sure many men out there, you know, who have wives or girlfriends, I'm sure many men at some point in time wanted to slap their woman across the face because she said or did something that really, really got under her skin. But he didn't. I'm not saying that abuse is okay, but I'm saying, like, this is a real legitimate thing. This is a real legitimate concern. Many people out there have these urges, but don't act on them. That's the difference. That's where the self-control comes in. And that's where the important part of, you know, self-control and maintaining control over our urges, you know, just triumphs over everything. Hey, welcome.
Hey, buddy. How you doing? You all right?
I'm doing well. And yourself?
Yeah, not too bad. Not at all. I was just been listening to you. I just tuned in on this. I've been on to, I just call it. It's quite interesting. A lot of people with child witness.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, it's just like, the reason why I picked this topic is because it's one of those things that just kind of flies under the radar. There's a lot of people that do not realize pornography is like a nuke when it comes down to your family relationship. And a lot of guys who are fathers to great children and husbands to great wives. And I say this with men because men are, you know, they're the most common users of pornography, but they don't have a monopoly on it. There are tons and tons of women who watch it as well. But it still destroys relationships because you realize that I don't need her, or I don't need him. I can go watch this video, or I can go look at these pictures, or you can even come up with like celebrities that you had a crush on, had a fetish for, and they've never done porn, but you can find videos of their heads on top of other people's bodies doing porn because of the technology that we have out there. And then you don't, like, people will stop investing the necessary attention and energy into their current relationship because they're getting this unrealistic satisfaction from pornography.
Right. So, I mean, look at that as a sideways parallel. You can flip it. Look at how social media becomes kind of antisocial, right? And
Ooh,
I think investing in porn, I think it can actually have the opposite effect to make you more sexually repressed. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And the reason, it sounds backwards, maybe, but I mean, I've seen it. There used to be a sex show in the UK where couples would go on and talk about, cardinal knowledge and do a quiz on it and try and win. But part of it was like, it was where people were unhappy, so they're trying to fix it. And there was one couple that were using all kinds of sex toys, doing all sexy things, all the clothes and that, but they just weren't feeling it. They've been together for years, and they loved each other, and so they've gotten to throw everything out and just look in each other's eyes and just go old school, just normal. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It felt weird at first, but then they got used to it, and then it's like, that's what I'm saying. It's like, then nature's in the driving seat. You got that real connection, and the person there. It's the flaws in us. They're the special bits. They're the bits you remember, the picadillos. Yeah. And how many times do we see in relationships, we fall in love with the fantasy of what we think it's going to be like with a person, right? And then we go into it, we find out we're not compatible, and we've got a choice there. We've got, things go a bit awry because you realise the fantasy is not the same. So then you've got a choice. You've got to find out if you're compatible or not, and usually we just do the breakup, or you just stick in this like kind of loveless thing and not finding out. So many people are together that's probably not compatible and just didn't realise. And it's not the same as not loving somebody, not caring. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
We've all got to get our needs met, and we don't. And there's another thing as well I like to drop in, is that there's this old model with relationships that says that we need to compromise. Communication are the two most important things, and I would say compromise is a bad idea, because that means we're both going to take pain. We're both going to accept less than optimum outcomes, you see. And we don't have to. That's where the compatibility comes in, because if you're compatible, you can both get what you want in your life. You can go to the football match and arrange it so you've still got time for it. You know what I'm saying? You can work it. You can. It's like you say, with the porn, it's not that it's like a religious thing, like you're evil or nothing. What it is distraction. It's creating fantasies, and controlling your thoughts is one of the hardest things to do. That's what all the Taoists are telling you. All those monks that go and sit for 7 years in a hut and people bring them food, they're saying it's the hardest thing. You're right. Everybody has these urges. Everybody's got a Hitler in them.
Yeah.
Everybody's got a Gandhi in them, hasn't there? That's the dichotomy of life. And if you don't accept that, see, this is where the rubber meets the road for me. Sorry, I'm rambling, but
no worries.
The rubber meets the road for me. That we live in ape-type bodies. Well, we're not apes, right? We're different, very different to them. Obviously, we're top of the food chain, but our bones are different, muscle density is different. We're different. We're not apes. We're in an ape vehicle, but we've got a light nature. And I think the problem we have this world, and that's why the distractions are there, is that it's getting you to stay to your animal nature. That's controllable. That's this animal nature. It's predictable.
Wow, thank you so much, Liam. I really appreciate that, man. That was actually some really good input. I really appreciate that. And for me, when it comes down to compromise, just like with any partnership, because ultimately a relationship is a partnership, there are going to be things like, no matter how compatible you are, no two people are exactly alike, because every person, even twins, have an entirely unique set of ingredients who makes up who they are. And what I mean by ingredients is deeper than the DNA makeup of that individual, but I'm talking about like the individual experiences that they've had, the individual likes that they have, the individual hobbies, etc. Everybody has different things. So when you compromise, it's not about, in my opinion, it's not so much about settling or giving less. It's finding a way where both can win. That's what compromise does. When you're a salesperson, you want to have a win-win if it's a good deal. The best deals have win-wins. I get a whole lot of money, you get a whole lot of this, and we both walk away winners. No one is win-lose deals are some of the worst deals out there. And having that partnership where you say, you know what, I'm not a big fan of ballet, but I know my fiance is, and I really want to spend time with her, so I'm gonna go to the ballet with my fiance, and then we're gonna have a great time together.
If you haven't heard about Anchor by Spotify, it's the easiest way to make a podcast with everything you need all in one place. Let me explain. Anchor has tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. When hosting on Anchor, you can distribute your podcast on listening platforms like Spotify, Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, Amazon, and so many more places. It's everything you need to make a podcast all in one place. And best of all, it's totally free. Download the Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started.
Welcome, Levi.
Hello there.
How you doing? Welcome to the show.
Alrighty, thank you very much for having me.
My
I
pleasure.
just saw live streaming coming on, and I came on to the part where you said about something about desensitization, but I think I just had to point out for a few notes of that in today's society, there's a lot of people that are not aware of this, that when there's just a lot of desensitization, and not only just in pornography sites like Pornhub or Xhamster or wherever you're searching it for. At this point where it has become desensitized, it has become not only just like hitting club cards or like magazines or whatever, they're going into the source of where the popularity is at, besides like doing Google or private searches. They're doing it on live streaming channels like Hulu and Netflix. I mean, Hulu is basically one of the very prime sources of just getting teens around in Generation Z that are desensitizing that generation, where they're just portraying basic sex toys like a dildo in just one of the shows, and I just find it very extremely grotesque that in this point that the reason that in Gen Z has become so easily desensitized and open about their sexuality is because whatever grabs their attention easier is technology.
Yes.
And technology, there's movies or a TV series. And now people nowadays just go to like entertainment, and mainly they think of like a series or a movie, like I said before. And Hulu, Netflix, Disney Plus, wherever they can find it. It's all across the internet. There's at this point no hiding it whatsoever.
Yeah.
And I just have to admit this. I too am also a victim of pornography itself, and that I also agree that it is a want and it's not an actual need. Sure, it is a hard desire for any human being to have, of course, but there has to come into a fine line of where your actions put not only of what you choose to do for yourself in that moment. Sure, it'll feel good when you initiate the action and you'll feel great about it, but up until the point of where until afterwards of like when you're done with like a video, if it's like whether if it's 8 minutes, 20 minutes, whatever the length it is, they don't exactly tend to have a great festival or like a special holiday to be celebrating in that sort of fact. But evidently in what I'm calling in this decade that is coming, the modern 20s, what's coming at this point is just that they are embracing shame.
Yeah.
And what I mean by is when they embrace shame, that usually means that they don't care that their humanity or that their addiction can grow into their reputation's consequence. Because having a reputation is very fragile. It's kind of like having a glass jar. You carry it around and it's there for everybody else to see it and what you decide to hold it for. Like if you're just collecting like a jar of marbles or something, or if you're just collecting pictures, it's all there for everyone to see. And once it is completely shattered on the ground, everybody notices the dramatic effect. And everybody will take opinions on it. And it's only up to you of what you decide to put in that glass jar to decide what kind of reputation you want to have. Because once you have something, it's not exactly very easy to repeat. But yeah, those are my thoughts.
I really appreciate that, and thank you for being brave enough to open up and confess about how you were a victim of pornography. I really appreciate that. It feels, I know that I'm not alone, but I know that there are not many people who are willing to admit that. So thank you for being willing to open up and admit that. I really appreciate that, man. It's definitely a real bomb in a person's life. And another point you made, Levi, is that people in society today are embracing shame. And that's actually a really good point, because back in the day, when you see Sam Cooke and you see Diana Ross and you see Queen Latifah and like the old school like legends, they were respected by their talents because that's all you could see, talents. There's a difference between being sexy, and I'm going to use the term because everyone knows it. It's not a politically correct term, and I don't care if it's politically correct because I'm not trying to be politically correct. But there's a difference between being sexy and slutty. TLC was sexy. They would not dress like easy. They would dress like borderline seductive, to where you're like, oh man, they're beautiful, but their talents is what shine. When you see Aaliyah would dance borderline sexy, but in my opinion, I never saw her as a slutty woman, in her appearance. And even Alicia Keys, people are able to respect the talent of these artists more than the body. They're looking at the talent saying, man, this woman is beautiful, she's extremely talented, she's smart, etc., etc. Now more and more of our celebrities are wearing less and less clothes, and we're like, man, this woman is gorgeous. Are you sure? Are you sure they are as talented as we think they are? Maybe we're so attracted to them because they wear so few clothes and so few layers that we're seduced by their appearance and are more forgiving of the talent of their voice. Like, and this is not to hate on any artist, but like, this is just my opinion. Beyonce's sister, I forget her name, which in my opinion, I don't think she's very talented at all. I think she's below average in her musical abilities. And I think that Sanjay, something like that, Sanjay Knowles or something like that. But I think that if she ever continues her career, she will always be known as Beyonce's sister. She looks like she is related to Beyonce, and she's not that talented in dancing, and she's not that talented in singing. And she's not like, she doesn't dress slutty, so you're actually able to pay attention to her voice. But you have all these other singers out there who are like Lizzo, and other people who are wearing basically nothing these days on the stage, and we're going, oh my gosh, she's one of my favorite singers. She empowers me. Are you sure she's empowering you? Or do people just show like what appears to be respect? In prison, there's this thing called respect. It's not real respect. It's about being afraid. It's a level of fear. The Fuhrer, Hitler wasn't respected. He was feared. But people mistook that fear for respect. Oh, every time people walk past Hitler, they give him the salute. They salute him. They always go up to shake his hand. It's because they feared him. They feared that if they didn't show that love and respect to him, that he would kill them, or his followers would. People didn't speak bad about the Fuhrer because their own friends would, sell them out so they can feed their families. But you see all these celebrities more and more now wearing next to nothing and wearing these see-through clothes, and they're going on stages where they know there's going to be kids. Just like Levi said, they're embracing shame. The things that used to show a symbol that you had respect for yourself are now out the window. You have drag queens going to elementary schools and doing lap dances, dancing like crazy. I say this often. I have a friend who is openly gay and also does drag for himself. He and I have talked about it, like a number of the ideas that I talk about on my show, because he and I are very open together. We sometimes have differentiating opinions, but that's one thing he and I have had as far as like over 10 and a half years I've known this dude. Actually, probably like 12 years I've known him. And I love him dearly. Such a great friend of mine. And he also believes, in his opinion, that drag queens have no place in elementary schools. Drag queens have no place dancing in front of minors. It's not something that they should be doing, yet they're doing this. And there are constant teachers who are embracing this and saying, yeah, we need to embrace the community. And there's drag queens out there saying this is too far. Drag queens are about entertaining other adults. And now they're like, this is too far. You got, gays against, what's the word? Gays against grooming. They're being censored by TikTok and YouTube and all these other social media sites. They're being censored. And they're like, this isn't cool. We shouldn't be, transforming our children at such a young age when they don't even know who they are yet. We're trying to like recreate their bodies when they're still in a journey to find who they are. This is too far. Like, they shouldn't be making these choices. And then they're getting censored. The people who are pulling the strings that we can't see, those individuals are causing us to embrace this shame. And I keep repeating that phrase, because it was an organic submission from Levi, and it rings just so beautifully true. Because back in my day, when I sound so old, I'm not even old. I just said back in my day when we used to walk 15 miles one way to school in the snow. Grandpa, you lived in the desert. I know, but there was snow there. Sometimes about half a quarter of an inch. That's a 16th. Yeah, so what? Were you there? I was. But like, when I was younger, porn was very hard. Like, it wasn't available like that, so people weren't addicted to it like that. The kids that found magazines under their big brother's, mattress, or like some VHS. And for those of you who don't know what VHS is, it's like it's a box that's probably about 10 inches long by 6 inches wide. You used to put it was a movie or a film. Oh my gosh, I can't even describe what a VHS is. It's like you just put it inside something called a VCR, and it would show you the movie that's recorded on it. Oh wow, I've seen VHS for all my life, and I can't even describe what it is, and using today's terms that they would know. But anyway, it's a rectangular shaped item that you put inside of a VHS, and it would play whatever's on there. But there were lots of porn movies that our dads would hide in their closet or somewhere, that mom and dad would use, and we would find it and then put it on the video or put it on the VCR and watch it when they're not there. Or our big brother would have a Playboy underneath his mattress or something like that. We go sneak around and steal it and then go take it to school, see our buddies, and we just look at it, but none of us were sitting there and like going, oh man, I want to have sex. We were just stunned to see boobs. We were stunned. We were curious. That was it. Like, the views were different. But now today, it's so readily available. You can be a 3-year-old infant and accidentally click on something that puts you there. That's how available it is. And we got all these streaming services that are going more and more risque about the things that they're showing, and they're sexualizing the very youngest of us. Why is all this happening? Because if we're super over-sexualized, the family unit will start to go obsolete. How? Because people won't, like, look at social media, look at the part that it's playing in it as well, is that people don't know how to have conversations anymore, lasting longer than anything for like 5 to 7 minutes. The social abilities of people have been, or especially of our younger generation, have been significantly diminished. And when you ask a teenager, hey, how was your day today? They're like, cool. What'd you do? None. How was school? Good. What'd you study? Nah. Like, one word answers while they're sitting there texting paragraphs to their friends. Oh my gosh, when I have teenage kids, oh my gosh, I'm going to take away their phone just to make sure before I ask questions, I'm taking away the phone. All right, so we're going to practice paragraphs. How was your day? Good. Nope, try again. I got to figure out a plan for that. But anyway, it's just really interesting how sexualized our youth are being. It's so interesting how available pornography is. And the drop in baby births is actually quite scary. The drop in family rates, in the rate of families, is very, very, very low. It's dropped significantly. the rate of divorce has increased substantially because now people, because of the lack of social skills and the lack of ability and desire to actually work through struggles, you have so many people divorcing just because it got hard rather than actually trying to find a way through that problem and working together. They took vows just because they wanted to get married and they wanted the bliss of the marriage and saying, I have a husband or I have a wife or we have a house, we're happy. But then they get tired of all the crap that's going on and neither one wants to change, neither one wants to submit, neither one wants to grow, neither one wants to compromise. And then they end up on their own. And then they end up dying 70 years old alone and no one's around them. Who wants to die in a hospital? Nobody. But I know it may appear that I went off on a rant on that, but the fact is that this is all related to pornography and the overuse of social media. The overuse of social media is taking away precious time we need to be having with our kids, with our spouse, with people that matter. Because once a family member is dead, they're dead. You don't get to text them or call them anymore. They're dead. So if we spend all this time thinking about how many likes you got on a picture or the next amount of content that you make, I mean, I used to make an episode, like 2 episodes every weekend. But this is a hobby for me. This is something I really enjoy doing for my podcast. I love doing my podcast, but I love my fiance more, and I want to invest time with her and make sure she knows absolutely she is my number one. She comes first. The time that I get to spend with her comes before anything else. And if I have an opportunity to record, I will. If I have an opportunity to come over here and spend time with my amazing fans, I will. I love doing that. But it's also important and critical to remember why I do it. I do it because I want to serve and I want to help. And also, I get a lot from it as well. That's why I encourage the listeners to actually participate, because I'm not just talking, I'm learning as well. People are talking and sharing different points that I had not considered. So ultimately, we're all sharpening each other. So a lot of pornography use, as I said before, starts with curiosity. And when you have an overabundance of videos that are sexualized, like for me, when I watch movies, I like to pay attention to everything. I pay attention to the acting. I pay attention to the writing of the script, of the development of a character, the cinematography of how the camera moves, how the camera captures the image of the actor and the scenes, things that look fake. I look at all that stuff because I appreciate it. I don't just watch a movie. I like to I see little twists and turns that surprise me. I'm like, oh, I didn't see that coming. That's a good one. Good writing. I really appreciate the writer on that. But then there's times within the first 5 minutes of the movie, I'm like, that guy's the killer. How do you know? Because they always keep that exact same storyline for all the sequels. And it's always that guy. So it sucks. When I can tell the bad guy or what's going to happen within the first 20 minutes of a movie, it's not well written. When a movie has tons of boobs and tons of sex in it, more often than not, it's poorly written. It's a sucky movie, but the only reason people want to watch it is because there's boobs and sex in it. But when you look at movies like The Notebook, movies like Top Gun 2 Maverick, like Avatar, they didn't need to show boobs. They didn't just show sex. They showed a lot of intimacy. They filmed it with respect to the actors and to the sacred nature of lovemaking. They didn't have to show nipples and all that other stuff like that. They were well written and they got the results. But you got all these shows out there that have a ton of cussing in it and tons of sex because they know people will watch that. And they'll be more forgiving of just how sucky the show is. So why did I say all that? I said all that to say it's so important and critical to each of our futures that we keep our urges in check. If you masturbate often, if you masturbate because you can't control it, you are damning your future. That's just a reality. You are at risk of destroying your future. I know it's easier to not masturbate when you're in a relationship and you have multiple options and partners. And it may be harder for some people who may not be physically appealing to other people and may never have partners, for a while. Maybe there's something about them that doesn't attract other partners. But still, like, if you do that, you're only hurting yourself and others, because you're never going to see partners as people. You're going to see them as objects for your affection, objects for your own gratification. This is important to remember this as well. Every porn movie that any of us have watched contains somebody else's children. Those women out there doing all those crazy things on those videos, they're somebody's daughter, somebody's sister. Those men out there disrespecting those women and using them as the objects that they were in that scene, those are somebody's sons. Those are men that don't respect women, because some of those videos get pretty rough. And those men you can't act that kind of stuff out. That stuff is really in you. You're just putting it on footage. Because nobody with a heart and respect for women could ever do the things that some of those actors do. Because they would eat at them. How would you feel if your daughter wanted to get into porn? And all of a sudden, one day, one of your buddies is watching her and you happen to see it. You're going to get pissed off because somebody was looking at your daughter doing something with another man. How would you like if you saw your son doing porn and you wanted to do something beautiful with your life? You wanted to run for Congress, run for some type of office, school superintendent, or, somebody important, and that came up. Oh, his son does porn. I don't think that's the image that we want. Or somehow, some way you found out that your son did porn and it wasn't just the normal kind of stuff. It was the rough, disrespectful stuff. I'm just saying, like, that could be your kid. On one side or another, that could be your kid. And who knows who's going to see it. But it's so important to control our urges. Because if we just keep satisfying our urges, our sexual urges, they won't be satisfied. They'll continue to increase, and it's just like putting more logs on the fire. And then at some point, one woman is no longer going to satisfy you. At some point, just having sex with her is not going to do it. Sometimes you're going to start needing more. You're going to start, because it's the urge you're trying to satisfy rather than the experience, rather than the person. You're thinking about the urge. You're chasing the orgasm. And if you keep doing that, she's no longer going to be good enough, and she's going to feel it. And what I mean good enough, it's in your eyes, she's not going to be enough to get you there. And it could be the same way, vice versa, with her seeing you that way. If she continues to feed into that narrative of wanting a big, what inside her, and you're not big enough, it's going to be a point to where she's not going to reach that point, that climax that she wants, because you're not big enough. You're going to have to use other means, like really big, unnecessary toys, and then you're not going to get anything out of it after a while. Like, it can go bad for both sides. If you can't control about making porn, make porn with your partner. Have very strict rules that you follow together, and don't disrespect each other. You'd be surprised what your partner will be willing to do with you. Sometimes you just have to ask, make them feel comfortable, and let them know that they're not weird for wanting to ask that. Sometimes your partner might not want to do one thing that you want to do. Like, maybe you would like to actually try going to the other hole back there. Not the vagina, but the other one. You might want to try going back door, and she's like, no, I'm not letting you do that, because, let me stick something back there on you, and then you tell me what you think and how much you like it. Some women just don't like that. They don't want the pain. That's okay. That's not a need. You don't absolutely have to go back there and explore that hole. It's important for both partners to actually be compatible and to try to, to be creative and adventurous in that realm. But it's not the critical make or break. If it is a critical make or break, you need to reevaluate yourself. Because lovemaking is special. It's a beautiful thing, but both parties should feel respected in that chapter of that category of your relationship. Because if you absolutely have to treat your wife or your spouse like a prostitute, and she's not into that kind of stuff, dude, how are you ever going to, give her the respect that she needs and deserves? You're not going to be able to, because you're too busy focusing on yourself. Welcome back, Lynn.
Hi, buddy. How you alright? Hope you don't mind me jumping in again.
Oh, not at all.
Oh, great. Yeah, you're hitting some good points here. I'm really enjoying this. I don't think I've caught your show before, Ross, so that's really great for me.
Well, I'm glad you're enjoying it.
But yeah, thanks. Yeah, it's good, man. You're doing good.
Thank you.
It's an important topic. You're welcome. So this is touching on for me about, like, you mentioned shame earlier, with the shaming with this, and I think that's a generic theme that we're all being pushed under. So we're being shamed in so many places, especially in the West. You've got shaming as a natural part from the religions that we have here. Okay,
Yeah.
got shaming about the environment, shaming about this, that, and the, and your average person in reality are having a negligible impact on the environment. Okay, it's 300 companies doing 70% of the pollution.
Yeah,
That's checkable. Do you know what I'm saying? We know these kind of things, right?
absolutely.
So, but shame is the big controlling thing. It's such a motivator, shame. Okay? And I don't know if anybody's noticed, but we're living in the upside down. Everything seems to be inverted. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of stuff going on. Everyone's getting distracted. I think it's a mission to cause so much confusion and cognitive dissonance. It's that problem, reaction, solution thing. And the thing is, we had that BLM movement, which I'm saying, in my opinion, that's a political movement. It was politics, right? It was being funded by conglomerates, foreign nationals, and they had statements about what their agendas were. And one of their agendas that they clearly stated was destruction of the nuclear family. But nobody ever talked about what they plan to replace it with. Now, I happen to know, this might be shocking, but in Germany, they've been trialing for 50 years the replacement model. And the replacement model might sound like a load of rubbish, but go and look it up. Germany, for 50 years, have been intentionally taking orphan children and children in care homes and giving them to known child molesters on purpose, saying that we're going to try this because that could be cathartic to the child. Okay?
Wow.
And that in universities over the last few years, if you check, a few years ago, and people didn't believe me when I was on Facebook, a few years ago, universities around the world were talking about a book where in psychotherapy they were saying, look, paedophilia is a mental health disorder. Okay? It's not against the law, it's when you do acts and abuse people, molesting. That's the law breaking. It's not against the law to have a mental health problem. But the problem with psychotherapy is that it's something fast, you can't make assumptions about stuff. And they're saying you can't prove it's not good for the kid. Somebody brought that up. Then it became a debate. You know what I'm saying? And then if you then plant those seeds inside groups like drag queens, the LGBT community, you can put traitors in there. You know what I'm saying? And those people have spent, 30, 40 years trying to dispel the idea that they're perverts. Come in and start linking that stuff in. Do you know what I'm saying? These are like traitor people going in these perceived weak groups, and it's like you mentioned with a drag queen. I'm glad you mentioned that, because I saw a drag queen do a YouTube interview saying, "Look, this is adult entertainment. There's no place for children. If you want to bring them to that, wait till they're 18 and let them make a choice."
Exactly.
This is off of the back of Canada have got a drag queen boy, a superstar, having pictures next to naked adults. I think it's against the law. It's live child abuse, but Canada's not an insane. They're not crazy people. They're not crazy people, but it's the social media and the programming's got people so riled up they can't notice that they're paying for a guy, an 8-year-old, 9-year-old, to ride around in stockings. And the picture next to the naked person, well, that's another drag queen, so that's one of his fans, so then it's okay, right? How can you miss that? And it's because of all this bombarding and distraction. When it comes to sexual energy, I know orgasm is the strongest energy I know of, and that's known as chi and prana in China and India. That's your spirit force, that's what we call it. You know what I'm saying? That's yours. Think about where that's going, because wherever there's an energy source, something's feeding on it. Even in nuclear reactors, you get bacteria. So think about that, because that stuff's for real, man. You got spirit power inside you. You don't need to waste it. Think about what you want to do with it. You know? And it's sex magic to consider. You know what I'm saying? So there's a lot of stuff. It's a big topic, this one.
Yeah. I really appreciate that, man. Thanks a lot. Again, like that's a lot to consider. That's a really interesting point. Because I know that like when a person is very promiscuous, especially like if like for me, when I was messing around with a lot of different women who were, you know, pessimistic or negative and sad all the time, just negative people, I started to get that way too. I don't know if it was the influence that I had, because I didn't go out and hang out with them all the time. The only thing we really did was just have sex. Like, we would hang out when we wanted to have sex with each other. That was really it. But like, their mojo, for lack of better words, their mojo got mixed with mine and affected me. Like, that's a really interesting concept as well. Like, if you consider that you are literally giving a part of yourself to somebody else when you're experiencing sex, you get what they give you, and you give part of yourself to them as well. So you kind of, that stuff that they got on their lives kind of jumps on you as well. Like, look at a prostitute. I mean, I don't know how many people have ever had a conversation with a prostitute, but seriously, it's a very interesting thing. It almost feels like you're talking to a robot. Like, if you just have a conversation with a prostitute, they're very hollow beings, because they've given so much of themselves to so many different partners that they don't feel that they have value. They're just existing in a world. They often feel like they are nothing more than an object for the satisfaction of other people. Like, so many of them have been sexually assaulted and then go back out knowing that this is a risk and accepting that risk because it's not a big deal. Just hopefully they don't kill me. Like, that's how low they've come to think of themselves. You never talk to a prostitute who goes, oh my gosh, I love it. It's such a great career. It's like, you know, I started out with like 10 guys today. Hopefully I can reach 80, you know, by next week, like a day. And that would be awesome. Like, I just absolutely love it. Not even sexaholics would jump down and say, oh my gosh, I want to be a prostitute, dude. I get all the sex I want. Heck yeah. No, they don't do that. I don't think there's anybody out there who enjoys being a prostitute. Maybe escorts. Escorts might enjoy it because they are very highly paid, and very often they don't have to have sex. They just, you know, they go out and they show themselves. They're like trophy women, and they go out and show themselves with a partner that's paid for their time. And then to keep him buying their time, they'll sleep with them, and like, hey, he's wealthy, so he'll call on me and he'll pay me lots of money, so I'll go ahead and sleep. So they get a lot more choice in the matter. Prostitutes only get who was willing to drive up to them and say, hey, come in, let's go. And they do something and they're out of the car. It's like having sex is something so special. Intimacy, physical intimacy, because keep in mind, intimacy is not limited to sex. Intimacy is by definition, is a very deep connection with somebody else. You can be intimate with someone who's not your romantic partner. You could be intimate with like one of your best friends, and non-sexual intimacy. It's just you guys are having a deep connection of intimacy. Like even with this episode, you know, I could be intimate with one of you, you know, just by having a deep connection with something that maybe you're struggling with, and hearing the things that I've struggled with, and, you know, in my past that I shared, and you're making a deep connection with that and saying, you know what, I'm not alone. I can tell you, you're not alone. A lot of people struggle with pornography, but it's such a shameful thing that they don't bring it up. They don't ask for help because it's embarrassing, especially if you carry on this seemingly normal life in the eyes of everybody else. Let's say you're a pastor and you struggle with pornography. You believe and you feel you can't go to the congregation and ask them for help. You can't go to a co-pastor and say, hey, I need help. I'm addicted to pornography. Because depending on that religion, that faith, you might get embarrassed. They might bring out your business because they want to be the pastor and you're in their way. So they go up and say, yeah, you know what? We need to get him out of here because he's addicted to porn. He's out there watching porn. And then they remove you rather than help you. It's a political move. That happens a lot in a lot of churches. I'm not saying that happens in every church because it doesn't. But there's a lot of politics in a number of churches out there because they're focused on money and fame and power rather than actually helping the people they're called to serve. But it's important that if you have a spouse, I'm serious, make sure first and foremost that your spouse is someone who has your best interest in mind. Like, because realistically, there are spouses out there who will throw this in your face. If you go out there and say, honey, I'm addicted to pornography, I have a problem, I need your help. And then she starts like, oh, am I not good enough? Like, you definitely don't want somebody like that. And if you are with somebody like that, maybe that's not the right person for you. Because the right person for you is not going to kick you when you're down. They're going to help you stand up. If you get shot and you're in the hospital, they're not going to sit there and punch you in the stomach for getting shot. They're going to put pressure on that wound and try to help you out and help you recover as fast as possible, so you can go back to your life better than you were before. They're going to help you bear the load of the weight of your burden. I know it's scary. This is not an easy ask, but I'm telling you, it's a great investment if you're willing to ask your partner for help and ask them to help you no longer be, help you deal with your addiction to pornography. Get help. Because I'm telling you, you're not going to be the father to your daughter or the father to your son or the mother to your daughter or the mother to your son if you are addicted to pornography. And there's different levels of addiction too. Being addicted to pornography is not limited to you saying, oh my gosh, I have to masturbate every 5 seconds, or every hour I have to go watch a video. That's not what being addicted is limited to. Being addicted often could be from, I need to see it every hour or often within those hours, or it can be as simple as, I need to see pornography. I get turned on, I get horny, I need to see a video. Or I need to close my eyes and think about a fantasy. Or every time I get turned on, I need to satisfy it. Or often when I get turned on, I need to satisfy it. Oh my gosh, I'm by myself. What am I gonna do? I have all these obligations I need to take care of. Like, I need to clean the house, wash the dishes, make the bed. I gotta do this, I gotta do that. I'm gonna masturbate and watch porn. Like, that's the addiction. When it takes a high priority, when you're by yourself and the opportunity arises and you give in, that's the addiction. Because you're not going to watch porn when you're in front of a ton of people out there. You're not, if you're in an airport or you're in a public place and you're watching porn, you are seriously addicted, and you are at a high risk of committing crimes that you shouldn't commit. I'm telling you, like, this is a big deal. It's not just watching videos of people having sex. Like, you're going to satisfy yourself and feel that urge, and that urge doesn't get satisfied. It continues to demand more and more and more until you are sitting there with a woman and you're about to have sex and she says, no, this isn't, I don't want to do this, we got to stop. But you're already turned on. You don't have practice in controlling your urges. You're turned on, and what have you always done? When you're turned on, you satisfy your urge. She's naked, you're naked, the opportunity's there. She's saying no, you don't care. You are risking that. And seriously, and a lot of these drug addicts out there, they say, oh, I could stop whenever I want, and they don't, because they can't stop whenever they want. It's a process, and it takes a lot of discipline and help. If you are addicted and you have to watch porn, and you have to masturbate every time you're horny, I really encourage you, seek help. Ask one of your best friends to help you out. Don't be ashamed. Walk up there, like, seriously. It doesn't matter how many people look up to you and respect you. People see that you are human too. If they always come to you for help, find the right person, ask for help. If you don't have somebody in your life, take a second, like, use your phone to save my email. You can email me. I always look at my emails every day, and I will respond as soon as I can. Email me. Talk to me about your struggles. Let me help. I didn't start Real Talk with RJ just so I could be nosy. I didn't start it so I can be popular. I started it so I can help other people. So please take down my email. Open up your phones, get a piece of paper, a pen, whatever the case may be. Open up your phones and get ready to write my email down. This is my actual email, not like email that's going to go to some secretary or anything. This is my personal email that I check every day. My email is all lowercase words, Ross, R-O-S-S, period, Curtis, C-U-R-T-I-S. The number is 723@gmail.com. Again, that is Ross, period, Curtis, R-O-S-S, period, C-U-R-T-I-S, 723@gmail.com. On the subject line, just put podcast, so I know it's coming from an actual person, not some bot or some spam mail. And I do check my spam folder as well, just in case something goes in there. But I really want to help you so that you know you're not alone. I don't want you to lose your family because you can't control this urge. I don't want you to lose an incredible partner because you can't control your urges to be faithful. I used to be that way. I was not able to be faithful because I learned I didn't love myself. And when you truly love and respect yourself, you won't limit yourself or like demean yourself to do things that are beneath your dignity of who you are. That has nothing to do with pride. It has everything to do with respect. Like if you have a great relationship with your mother, let's just say mother. I know that not everybody has a great relationship with their mother, but let's say you have a parent or a best friend who comes to your house and you love and respect this individual. Are you going to give them food in a dog bowl on the ground and say, here, that's where you're going to eat? Absolutely not. You're going to give them a very respectable seating is equal with the rest of you, if not better. Because you know that person's worth it. That person's special. You wouldn't let anyone feed you out of a dog bowl unless you're a furry or something like that. Those people that love to dress up as dogs. But the fact is, you wouldn't let somebody feed you out of a dog bowl. That's not who you are. You're not a dog. You wouldn't demean yourself to doing that. Don't demean yourself to masturbating every time you have an urge. Don't demean yourself to being addicted to pornography, to watching pornography, because it just gets worse. The same things are not going to be the things that satisfy you over time. After a while, you're going to need more wild things, more extreme things. And then before you know it, you'll be watching a donkey show in Tijuana, Mexico, because that's what you need. You're going to start wanting to watch like sexual assault videos portrayed by Japanese porn stars or whatnot. You're going to start needing to see these things that are extreme because that's what is going to do it for you, because your urges just get stronger and stronger. And then you will end up assaulting a woman. I'm telling you, this happens. I'm not speaking for my health. This is a real threat. Pornography can destroy more than you. Because if you have to go to porn or go to porn, if you have to go to prison for sexually assaulting a woman, even though she might have been like totally into it, like, oh my gosh, I'm ready, let's do this. And then when you're about to do it, she says stop. You have to stop by law right then and there. Or let's say that same woman is just hammered. You guys went out to a club, you met her at a club, she's hammered. And all of a sudden you see that like the clothing that she's wearing is very seductive. It turns you on, you want her. And you take her home and she's passed out. You have an opportunity right there to take your shoes off, cover her up, leave the door, or you can sleep in the living room to make sure she's okay and she's safe. Whatever the arrangement you have with her, or you leave your number on the counter on her bedside stand, and then leave, lock the door behind you and leave. That's what you should do. But if you're so addicted to porn and your sexual urges control you, you're gonna see that she's sitting there looking all good and you're turned on. You don't have practice of limiting or controlling your urges, and while she's knocked out, you're like, she's not gonna know. And you justify it in any way, and you end up assaulting this woman.
Diane.
That's not what any sane person should want. And that's the dangers that lie in wait for those addicted to pornography. You may feel, I'm not addicted to pornography. I control it. I just watch it from time to time. But again, there's different levels of addiction. You might be in the beginning of your addiction. You might be in the middle. Who's to say? But if pornography is 100% out of your life, the chances of you making a choice that hurts someone else is very, very low. But the more you include pornography in your life, the higher you risk hurting someone else's daughter. And if you're lucky, you'll go to prison for a very long time. If you're not lucky, that woman's father will come looking for you, and maybe her brothers too. Just a warning. This is a reality. It's dangerous, everybody. Don't lose the opportunity to be a father to your children and a husband to your wife because you let pornography become your main focus. Before I end, if there's anybody else that has anything to add, I'd like to welcome you and open it up to you. I'd love to hear what you have to say. And again, my email is ross.curtis723@gmail.com. Please send me emails to, if you need advice, if you don't know how to get the help you need, if you're looking for advice on how to get through this struggle. Pornography is not normal. Don't listen to people say it's normal. It's not normal. It's so dangerous because it eats away at your moral walls. It eats away at your self-esteem. It eats away at who you are, because you, as a woman looking at pornography, other women, you start seeing that this is what is beautiful. As a man looking at it, you start seeing this is what is beautiful and desirable. So anyone who doesn't fit that narrative is not beautiful to you, and you end up missing out on some incredible people. It's not worth it. There is no price worth happiness. And what I mean by that is, if you let pornography control your life and you don't control your urges, you are selling your happiness for a little bit of excitement, a counterfeit. It's like, maybe not everyone's going to agree with me on this, but I think most people will. But pornography satisfaction is the equivalent of seeing this delicious muffin in the like this delicious cupcake in the window. You're like, oh my gosh, it looks so incredible. And then you bite into it and they're like, oh yeah, by the way, it's vegan. It's vegan cupcakes made with vegan ingredients and like all this other stuff. You're like, that's why there's no flavor. Like, I'm sorry, I've tasted tons of vegan pastries and I've never once tasted one that was delicious to me. I thought every one of those were nasty. They tasted like fake cardboard. Like it I think that's what Barbie and Ken eat. Like, that's the stuff from the little toys they used to include. It's like the little wax apples that you see in the open houses of people showing off properties and stuff like that. That's what vegan stuff tastes like, a wax apple. But maybe someone's like, that's not true. No, there's a vegan restaurant around the corner. Like, there may be, but I have yet to find it myself. That's another subject. But if nothing else, I really appreciate you all. And like, as I always say, I know that you could be anywhere you want at any time you want, but you chose to be here with me right now. And I'm very grateful for each and every one of you. Thank you for spending time with me. Thank you for inviting me into your home, into your ear, into your job, into your car. Just thank you for sharing this time with me. I really hope and pray that this episode did help someone. Because there's a war against you. There's a lot of forces out there right now that would love to see you destroyed. And pornography is one of the fastest, like, wooden horses out there. It's dangerous. Email me. I would love to serve. I'd love to help you out if I can, if you'll let me. And I hope and pray for the success and well-being of each and every person. Thank you so much for spending time with me on Real Talk with RJ. Don't forget also to check out my other episodes of Real Talk with RJ, available anywhere podcasts are able to be heard. I have lots and lots of episodes ready for your listening, and they are very good topics as well. So check out the other episodes of Real Talk with RJ. Outside of the Wisdom app, I also have them, on Google Play, or excuse me, the Google Podcast Store, the Amazon Music. It's available everywhere, so you can go check it out anywhere. And I'm telling you, there's lots of good content there. So enjoy and share this episode and every other episode that you hear with anyone you know. So let's get this message out, all right? Let's fight back and let these forces fall at our doorstep and stay there. Have a great evening. Thank you for listening. Real Talk with RJ, signing out.